The Microscopic World. The microscopic world is invisible to the naked eye and can only be observed with modern instruments. It is the world of tiny particles such as molecules and atoms. Ancient philosophers believed that the world was composed and built up by atoms. Atoms can be further divided into smaller particles. According to modern science, atoms contain electrons, protons, and neutrons. Electrons can be smaller too. Electrons still have obstruction and can collide with others, while light won't. Electrons can turn into light waves or electromagnetic waves. When electrons accelerate due to some reason, the motion of our minds, electrons can transform into photons, which are intangible and invisible. Photons are a primary substance for generating our vision. You cannot see light because light helps us to generate vision. The microscopic world is nothing special. It's just about smaller and smaller particles which eventually become electromagnetic waves. Different wavelengths and frequencies lead to different electromagnetic waves with different energies. The higher the frequency, the higher the energy level of the electromagnetic wave. For example, light wave is a small segment of the electromagnetic spectrum. This segment of electromagnetic spectrum, ranging from red to violet, has different energy levels. Red light has the lowest energy, while violet light has the highest energy. For ultraviolet rays, the electromagnetic waves with frequencies higher than violet light, we cannot generate visual responses. We cannot see anything but darkness. Similarly, we cannot perceive or sense infrared rays. Our visual faculty cannot generate visual responses to infrared and ultraviolet rays, and thus cannot generate visual consciousness. However, for the light waves between infrared and ultraviolet, we can generate visual responses of different colours and then combine them to see the colourful world. The colourful world we perceive is created by our visual consciousness, not by our eyes. The term eyes refers to the visual faculty, which is just one of the conditions to generate visual consciousness. The microscopic world is nothing more than these things. When it comes to quantum mechanics, their explanation of wave-particle duality is actually incorrect. Scientists haven't fully understood it yet. From the perspective of Buddhism, the wave-particle duality explained by scientists is incorrect, but here we won't delve into it. However, one thing is certain. When we observe an object in the extremely microscopic world, it will be affected by our observation. This is because the universe is filled with electromagnetic waves. When different electromagnetic waves shine on subtle substances, the substances themselves undergo changes. Consequently, the results we observe will change because our observation ultimately relies on electromagnetic waves. Without electromagnetic waves, we cannot see anything. Whether you observe through a microscope or other instruments, ultimately you need to observe with your visual faculty. When observing an object, there must be electromagnetic waves shining upon it. Otherwise, you won't know or feel anything. When observing objects, we don't necessarily need to use visible light waves. We can also observe the world with invisible light waves. Since light waves can affect the observed objects are no longer the same as before. Therefore, it's impossible for us to observe the true appearance of an object, as it is unstable. As soon as you observe it, it is no longer the same. Moreover, it is changing moment by moment, so you cannot observe its original appearance. Everything is changing, so how can you observe it? Extremely tiny objects are easily affected by external factors. For example, for a cup, whether light shines on it or not, its mass or velocity are barely affected. However, for very subtle substances, when light shines upon them, they will be affected by the observer. Therefore, in the microscopic world, scientists cannot make precise observations. They can only observe in a similar way. The Heart Sutra states, "Form is emptiness." What is form? Form means obstruction. What is the smallest substance? Basically, it is the electron, but it still has obstruction. However, when an electron becomes a photon, there is no longer obstruction, as if it becomes empty. Electromagnetic waves are intangible in the air, but they can take effect. So, what Buddhism refers to as emptiness is not nothingness, but the non-duality of form and emptiness. Therefore, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. There is emptiness in form, and form in emptiness. Form and emptiness are inseparable. It is neither the emptiness of nothing nor the form that is solid and unchanging. Form itself is empty. Form can turn into light waves. Is there any visible object in light waves? If there are only light waves in the universe, there would be nothing left but the void. Why? Without objects, light won't reflect. Consequently, you won't perceive any light but darkness. It's like a light shining into the void, which won't reflect. This is akin to nothing. Nothing can be seen. In Mahayana Buddhism, the middle way is about dependent arising and emptiness. Dependent arising is about the law of cause and effect and the combination of causes and conditions, while emptiness means that things are illusory and empty by nature. Emptiness means that everything that arises dependently is empty by nature. Dependent arising itself implies emptiness. Since it arises dependently, it lacks inherent nature. The term condition itself implies lack of inherent nature. Nothing has solid existence. If something has solid existence, it cannot be called a condition. The corresponding Chinese character yuan consists of a radical of silk threads, which means combination. Everything arises dependently. Even the smallest atom also arises dependently. It also lacks solid existence and inherent nature. Atoms can also turn into emptiness. Just as we mentioned earlier, atoms can turn into electromagnetic waves with nothing left. When it comes to electromagnetic waves, there is no dependent arising. They don't affect each other or interact with each other. The lights in the room shine independently, without affecting each other. Since they don't interact with each other, there is no dependent arising. They are empty in nature. All phenomena are conditions too. The combination of things without inherent nature is called dependent arising. There is nothing but phenomena. How are phenomena generated? They are illusions generated by our visual faculty, auditory faculty, olfactory faculty, gustatory faculty, and tactile faculty, rather than real existence. Phenomena, forms that appear, are objects of our 5 sense faculties. Since they are just phenomena, they have no inherent nature, no real and unchanging existence. They arise dependently and are empty in nature. All phenomena in the universe arise dependently and are empty in nature. No matter how tiny an object is, it can ultimately turn into light, into electromagnetic waves. What exactly are electromagnetic waves? It's just a term. Electromagnetic waves themselves are the unity of form and emptiness. If you say they are form, they are not form. If you say they are emptiness, they are not emptiness. Electromagnetic waves themselves are the unity of form and emptiness. If you say they exist, you cannot find where they are. If you say they have inherent nature, they don't, as they are changing. You cannot find their existence, and they are not extremely tiny objects either. Since they are not real existence, how can they be extremely tiny? Electrons are tiny particles, but photons are not. Therefore, light is the unity of form and emptiness, but you cannot say it is nothing. This is not nihilism. Different beings live in different worlds because they have different minds, different speeds of mental activities, and different karma. Not only are the speeds of their mental activities different, but also the ways of their mental activities are different. Ordinary beings' minds are attached to different things, so their minds move in different ways. Consequently, they generate different illusions and different visions. The visual consciousness of different beings generate different realms. The external light may be the same, but due to different karma and afflictions, different realms and different visual responses are generated. Let's take water as an example. Fish, humans, heavenly beings, and hungry ghosts see water in different ways. Why do hungry ghosts see water as pus and blood? If you observe water under a microscope, you will see that it is full of living beings and lots of bacteria. In a drop of water, there are tens of millions of bacteria. These bacteria go through birth, aging, illness, and death in the water. Isn't that all pus and blood? Hungry ghosts may see these things. In the realm of hungry ghosts, they see corpses of bacteria in the water, but cannot perceive water molecules. Therefore, what hungry ghosts see is pus and blood. Heavenly beings see water as crystal. They only perceive water molecules. If there are no bacteria in the water, it will be much clearer than our spring water, as there are still many bacteria in spring water. We have seen crystal clear water, but that's only what humans see. It's still full of various organisms. Heavenly beings cannot see these organisms. In the realm of heavenly beings, there are no such organisms. They only see water and perceive water molecules. Therefore, what they see is crystal. Fish live in water, and their eyes directly contact with it, allowing them to see many things in water. They see food to eat. They see their enemies so that they can escape. Water is the world of fish. Fish are quite dumb, but they also have their sensitive spots. Some fish are spiritual. When we release fish, some fish are very spiritual and can sense our kindness and compassion. Animals can feel humans' kindness and compassion towards them. If you are compassionate, animals will approach you and not fear you. If your karma of killing is heavy, animals will feel afraid when they see you. If you approach a bird, it will fly away. If you approach a dog, it will bark loudly. Animals are very sensitive. They can sense your heavy karma of killing. They can feel things that we humans cannot. In their world, they can sense some energies that we cannot feel. Sometimes we humans cannot sense who is deceiving us, who is treating us well, or who is treating us poorly. We often misunderstand others. Dogs usually don't misunderstand others, but humans often do. So sometimes we humans are not as good as dogs. In some aspects, we are not as good as dogs. At least their noses are more sensitive than ours. They can smell things that we cannot. If there are too few molecules, we cannot smell, but dogs can. Living beings are different. Dogs' noses are highly sensitive. Dogs have highly sensitive noses. They live in their world, different from ours. Every sentient being lives in their own world. A dog's sense of smell is acute. What we perceive as foul may be fragrant to them. That's how it is. Not everything that smells bad to you is necessarily bad. What smells bad to you might smell pleasant to them. This shows that different beings live in different worlds, which are all created by their own minds. What you find good is good to you. What you find pleasing may not be pleasing to others. All right, that's all for today.